So this is a video on my Logans, and this video is probably for much more for myself than probably anybody else. Unless maybe some of you guys are like fruit nerds and are interested in it. But just a bit of history on some of the Logans I have. So this Logan is the variety called Edar. It is from Thailand. And that's spelled E-D-A-W or E-D-A-U. This variety right here is called Sri Champu. And I think that is spelled S-R-I-C-H-A-M-P-O-O. So this is kind of a bit more for myself in terms of just kind of keeping a history on this before I kind of forget the names and the dates. These two plants, I got it as air layers from Florida back in, I believe that was 2002, 2003, around that time. And I got it from a gentleman named Bill Whitman. And if you're not familiar with Bill Whitman, he has a huge impact on the kind of like the Florida tropical fruit kind of industry. So he originally introduced the Kohala Logan from Hawaii to Florida. And these two varieties, Edar and Sri Champu, he got it from the gentleman in Thailand who had a huge impact in the Thai industry. That person, I don't remember the name now, but they developed many commercial Logan varieties in Thailand, and he got it directly from him. And Bill Whitman got that from him, and he introduced that to Florida. So these were air layers from his original tree that he has. And, you know, he introduced quite a few tropical fruits to Florida. He's known as probably the first person to fruit a mangosteen in the continental U.S. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. These days, I think there might be still quite a handful of people that might be fruiting mangosteens in the continental U.S., but most likely it's like some sort of greenhouse setting. Okay, so that's kind of a bit of history on these two varieties. Unfortunately for me, they have not done well at all. I'm sure I've heard that others have had ones that done well, but mine's never did. So this one's Sri Champu. I topped it a few years back with, I think, a Kohala Logan, and that's all the way on the top. But these green leaves right here, like these two Thai varieties, when they flush out very green leaves compared to like the reddish leaves that you see on many of the Logan varieties. So the new flushes on these are very kind of green. So this is the variety Edar. Unfortunately, it never done well for me. The blooms are always kind of floppy. They never seem that strong. So they have a difficult time setting fruits. And when they do set fruits, the fruits never really ripen correctly. So unfortunately, I had this for, gosh, it's, when I had the air layers, I had it in pots for quite several years before I did plant it out. But yeah, I mean, these trees are probably close to age of 20 years when I got the air layers back then. Unfortunately, never really got any, I would say I never really got a decent quality fruit from it. But I think there's been more recent introductions of some of these varieties, because I know some people have, done a bit better with it, especially Sri Champu. I heard that they fruited and they got fruits from it. So this one's Edar. Can you see the leaves? The leaves are green. Okay. And this one is Sri Champu. So the rootstock on this one is still Sri Champu, but I did top it a few years back with, well, I think it might be Kohala. So I could definitely tell that it's a tree trunk on the bottom because the leaves is a bit more green and kind of a bit more a little bit more curly at the edges of it. So this one's tree champu rootstock. Still got some of it here, but then once I go up, this is possibly kohala, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, I topped with it a couple years back to kohala just because both the varieties I had were never really productive. I have kept it just mostly for more like a sentimental reason than anything else. And then I finally decided to kind of top work the top of it to a more productive variety. So this tree right here is a Logan variety. Unfortunately, I don't have the name of it. This tree was planted out back in 96, 97, so kind of getting close to 30 years old. Unfortunately, it's not a very productive variety. You can see the new leaves are red. And I don't think it's kohala just because kohala is a much more productive variety. This could have been an air layer from a seedling tree or something else. I really don't know. The tree's quite large. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've been trying to just kind of keep the height down. Because of that, there's really haven't had much fruit. But even though when it flowers, it doesn't set that much amount of fruit. So this is a very old kind of Logan, almost 30 years old now when you think about it. Very, very tall. And next to it is a seedling of that tree you just seen. So this one's a seedling. It's a bit more precocious, so they set fruit regularly. But again, the seedling's quite old, and we've been trying to keep it down. During my time with planning out seedlings, fruit probably about 3 seedling fruits of Logans, and they take about, I would say, 6 to 7 years before they first flower and fruit. And this has a graft of Sri Champu on it. It's this one right here. But again, not productive. Never got a single good tasting fruit out of it. Okay, here are a couple more Logan trees. Unfortunately, I don't have the name of it. My guess is would be Kohala. Some of this I got from a family friend. Unfortunately, they didn't keep the name of it. And some of these are so old, and back then, lots of the nurseries didn't do a good job of naming the varieties too, in terms of keeping track of it. So, but this one is very precocious. It sets fruits quite well. That's tree. That's that one. And here's the other one. And my guess is that it is probably kohala, but that's kind of just a guess. Okay, this is just kind of a history of my Logan trees. Thanks, everyone. And lastly, this is a really recent introduction to the US. It is a Logan variety called Ruby Red Logan. I am not too sure of the origin of this tree, but it's getting quite popular in Southeast Asia. This may be originally from Vietnam or Cambodia. Not really too sure where it originated, but most likely it was probably Vietnam. If you guys have not seen the fruits on this, it's an amazing looking fruit. It produces this deep red, ruby red, kind of maroon colored fruits, colored skin, Logan skin. The leaves are also very red. So you can see here. And even the bark is brown, but if you scratch the bark, it has this kind of reddish, almost like food coloring dye to it. It's a very, very kind of uh, ornamental looking Logan variety. I got this last year in 2022. Uh, I'll probably eventually plant it out, but probably more for ornamental purposes. From my understanding, the fruits aren't that great tasting. They might be just okay, but it may have a weird seasonal timing to it. So these potted plants of mine bloomed like about, I would say, a month or two ago, which was more like towards the end of the year bloom versus kind of like a beginning of the year bloom with the other Logan varieties. I'm not sure if that's normal, but a lot of people have kind of noted that. So, ruby red Logan.